My name is Demetria Boyd, and Sean Boyd deserves to grow old.
So, Dimitri, can you tell me who have you lost to a violent act of crime, specifically interracial crime?
I lost my husband, Sean Boyd, due to a gunshot wound to the chest.
Okay. Can you briefly describe to me what happened?
Briefly, I don't know if I could do briefly because there has been several stories. But when I first got on the scene, though, the police officers, they was trying to just, as it was two men doing gunplay, which that wasn't what really happened. Then they was trying to say the gun was passed inappropriately, but my husband is not a rookie to, dealing with firearm. And when he always transported from one hand to another, he has it barrel always pointing down. So, but it's supposed to be an incident to where the passing of the gun, it fell. That's one story. Bullet shot him straight in the chest. Another story, they was passing the gun and a pullover, and in between passing it with the hand, they want to say my husband's hand pulled the trigger and it hit them in the chest. Another story is that he pulled the pullover off and the gun was in his pocket and it hit him in the chest. And another story is that don't nobody want to say that someone else was on the scene and they pulled the trigger. So it's so many stories that's been told about my husband's death. Now, I'm not gonna say the one's name, but it's been close family and close friend that was on the scene. They were saying there was two guns on the scene. It was automatic and it was a revolver. Mm-hmm. But when my in-laws got on the scene, they only saw one gun on the scene on the ground. But the police officer let me know, the detectives let me know there were two guns. They wouldn't tell me at first who was who, what it was. They just asked me what type of gun did my husband own. Also, so like I said, all those stories transpired. Still, they kept saying it was accidental. They want to put on him as he accidentally did it himself, which I beg to differ. That wasn't it. So they did the investigation. They did the autopsy. He passed in November. So it took them all the way into March. First, the death certificate was saying pending. Now it's saying unknown. But it's still saying it's a gunshot wound. He passed to a gunshot wound to the chest, but it's unknown. Now, how is that unknown? Somebody pulled the trigger. They were saying there was video cameras in the neighborhood. They wouldn't allow me to see it. I asked questions on, could they tell me which bullet killed him? Like, was it the revolver or was it the automatic? They wouldn't tell me that. They were just trying to write him off. He called me right before all of this happened. Well, I called him. He was at the store. He said who he was with. The person he was with, he was at the store. He said, baby, he said, I'm with such. I'm gonna call you back. We supposed to when he got tired that day. He said, I'm gonna call you back and I love you. I'm gonna talk to you later. That was 11 something. He got shot at 11:32. He was pronounced dead at 12:36. So all this stuff happened like right after another. But the police officers saying, well, and after when he got shot, the person that was with him saying they transported his body into the car, took him up the block. It was finna take him to the hospital, trying to save him. But he didn't make it. So by the time they made it to the gas station up the block, I guess that was his last breath. So the person get out and then go use the gas station's phone because they said that their phone was dead and my husband's phone, they couldn't get in because it was locked. So therefore, like I said, so my husband's phone was on the scene. But after the months go by and I'm talking to the police officer, he said he didn't get no phone report. It wasn't because they gave me all his belongings. They gave me his wallet and all that type of stuff, but they did not give me his phone. So therefore, that's a missing increment in that someone got that phone because he had that phone. But it was not being said, you know how they had a description of what was on the scene? He was saying no cell phone was placed in description on the scene. So yeah, all this has happened. And like I said, and then they transported the body into a vehicle. The person who owns the vehicle telling my in-laws wasn't no blood in the vehicle. But the police officer telling me it had to be blood in the vehicle. So it's fishy there. It's so many stories. And I just really want my husband's story to be heard. I want somebody to say who knows something to say something. But it's three people who know something. Like I said, it's the one unknown person who somebody saved that was on the scene that don't nobody know nothing about, but two people that was with one person wasn't even on the scene and he know the whole story. But the one person that was on the scene, he just saying he didn't do it. But he's still not saying what really happened. I ain't gonna say he's making up because I don't know, but he's saying the whole dropping of the passing of the gun, that's the story that he gave to the officers. I'm not understanding how that can happen. I'm not no gun expert, but I'm just still saying, I know my husband, he has taught his sons, and he has taught myself in passing of a loaded firearm to always have the barrel pointed down. I mean, but like I said, he died of one gunshot wound to the chest. So, like I said, it's undetermined. They got it on the birth certificate. I mean, the death certificate now is undetermined.
Okay. Wow. That's
a lot.
It is a lot, and it's something that can definitely happen when you're dealing with firearms, but because of this story, we don't really have the details. We don't know exactly what happened, and there's so many different things that could have happened. With the campaign, we've dealt with a family where it was a robbery that went wrong, where it was a disgruntled customer that came in and decided, instead of just voicing his anger, decided to take the life of another Black man. And with this situation, I mean, it really just seems like it could have been avoided. I don't know exactly what the details are surrounding it, but I do know that there's no reason that somebody who's going to the store, should die over something. I mean, I don't even know what it was over, but just simply, simply a gun discharge going wrong. And then another thing that, that I'm seeing is, in terms of the investigation, it seems like they're not really taking it as seriously as they would if it were somebody else, probably a Caucasian male. If it were the same situation, they probably would have investigated more. It seems like the details the police aren't really trying to find details.
Right, they just writing them off. It's another Black man gone.
Exactly.
That's how I feel.
And no, it's okay that you feel that way, because the reality is this happens a lot, and the justice system doesn't do enough to minimize things like this from happening, or even giving this man the justice that he deserves, and figuring out exactly what happened. When did you and Sean get married?
We got married in 2018, February 15th, but we was together for 13 years.
Wow, you were together for 13 years. So how did you come to meet Sean?
Oh, well, I approached him. We met at a nightclub, but I approached him. I'll never forget it. He had a walk. He had a margarita and a Heineken in his hand. I just said I had to have him just off the walk. We've been together every day on the day.
Wow, every single day. So when you all kind of connected, it was almost like, did you immediately have that feeling?
We connected though. We sat for hours, and we as on talked and just kissed for hours when we very first met. But I never knew it was gonna be, head over stars and all that. I did not know that. But over time, I can't even explain the bond we had. That bond, that we had a bond.
Wow. Okay. That's beautiful. So did you have any children together?
Yeah, we had one. We had a 5-year-old together, Desmond Boyd.
Okay.
So he also has a 28-year-old son. He has a set of twins that's 20, and I had a 15-year-old son. So we had all boys.
Wow, 4 boys. That's like my family. It's all boys. So I know that's definitely a lot, raising 4 boys. So my next question is, in regards to this situation, when did this all go down, first of all?
This went down November 4th. It was
last year.
2020, yes. November 4th, 2020. It had occurred in his brother's driveway.
Okay.
It was like I said, 11 o'clock in the morning when all this happened.
Okay. And how would you describe that this loss has affected you since?
This loss has affected me 1,000 different ways. I have like 1,000 different feelings every day. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, I'm depressed, I'm happy, I'm energetic. It's so much because I have never personally, never, ever lost anyone. Wow. That you do some day in, day out with. I have never. And then for the fact that he is the father of my son, and his bond with his boys, he's a man of family. He loves family. He loves togetherness. He instilled it in all of them. All of them had it, and it's just it's to get taken like that suddenly. Some days I don't know how to. I just don't know how to cope because I'm so used to when something happened, calling him. I'm so used to seeing something, thinking of something, texting him. Even on our bad days, we at each other's throat. We talking to each other. It's something. I think his son to say something out. It just brings back memories. I'm talking about day in, day out. It's not a day that he does not cross my mind. I'm still almost in disbelief. Like I cannot believe this happened.
Wow. Yeah, that's sad to hear because I know one thing about losing somebody. It's something you can't really put words on, like the feelings that you essentially have lost that you won't get to feel again. It's disheartening, and carrying that and then trying to also raise a family and do the things you're doing, I can understand that it's probably very stressful and it's a lot of weight to be put on your shoulders. So my next question is, your husband, you told me that he was a family man, that he really tried to instill that in his family. Were there any other things about him that you would want people to know?
Oh, well, I got to let him know because my husband was a very people person. The world knows him. He has a big heart. The world knows that if he has came in contact with you, he gives you a nickname. Everybody he loves, his heart is so big. He's aggressive lover too, but his heart is so big. He's a people person. He loves people, and when he come on the scene, it's always a smile. He's about togetherness. Like I posted something the other day about togetherness. You know how one family member could say, I ain't going up such house, some have some. But if they knew Shantae Boyd was gonna be at that gathering, they coming anyway. They gonna be like, oh, okay, well, Sean gonna be there, Cuz gonna be there, I'm gonna come through. They coming. He brought people together. That man brought people together. Even on days when I ain't want to come to the family function, he'd be like, girl, they gonna be asking about you. I could be like, I ain't go, but he'll be like, he'll get the Teresa. Now they come, I'm gonna come pick you up. He'll come back. He was always about that. I don't care when it comes about family. I don't care what type of disagreement he may have had with a family member. He finna disregard that. His heart was so big. It was like family could never be wrong. It's just why what happened to him, and for people that's so close to know something more than not saying, it's bothering, because if it was the other way around, their mind would have been 10 toes down to find out what had happened. He would not be sleep. My husband, he would go hard. He go hard for the ones he loved, and like I said, it's every day. It's like a disbelief. Like they had to take him to, when I tell you he's so for togetherness, and he'll tell you all the time. His daddy, he knew his daddy, but he was like his daddy wasn't nothing, and he vowed to be better. And when I tell you he's an awesome dad, it's so firm in it. He just so on him. He's just telling them about being independent, about you have to stand up for yourself. Don't depend on nobody else. But his heart was so big, and but they say you take the good ones, but still, how they say God don't make no mistake. I have some days come to terms with that, but I ain't came to terms with that, because I just ain't came to terms with it. But because my son, oh my God, everything. My 5-year-old thinks he can drive, because he recently, like a month before he even passed, was just having him drive. My 5-year-old thinks he can drive because he said his daddy taught him how to drive. And that's just so hurting. It's like, I just like I said, I'm just in disbelief. But yeah, the world know everything about this. Sean Boyd is an awesome person, a big heart. Everyone knows that he was loved by plenty.